Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit. The man seated next to me decorates his Christmas trees only with macaroni, and his name is Mike Roth.
That is really the way to go. It's macaroni and popcorn.
Yeah.
Everybody's done it. Really,
It's
honest.
a classic.
You take the string, you put it through the macaroni, you paint them. I mean, it's great.
I can't get the paint to stick. I drain the macaroni off. I cool it all down, and then I try it, and the paint does not stick to the macaroni.
I see a flaw.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. All right, very good. I'm going to get a tip from the pro. This week, we have two movies on the marquee, as opposed to our normal weeks where it's a massive cluster of movies. So we're going to have some fun this week and really get into a couple of reviews. The first movie we have on the marquee for you is the big movie of the week, the big record breaker of the week. We're talking about Thor Ragnarok, the newest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe from director Taika Waititi. This is the third in line of the Thor movies. Of course, we have Chris Hemsworth back as Thor. And Ragnarok, if you're wondering what Ragnarok is, it is the fall of Asgard. Ragnarok is coming. It is Asgard's doom.
Prophesize.
Yes. Loki has, since we've seen him last, has kind of dropped Odin off-world, basically in a forced retirement, kind of, and has taken over Asgard.
Like he gave him Alzheimer's.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, not really into retirement.
He's just here, stare at this ocean for a while. I'm going to be you. So Loki has taken over Asgard. An old, kind of feeble Odin reveals to Thor and Loki that when he dies, which he says is going to happen soon, that their older sister, Hela, is going to show up, that his being alive is the only thing that has kept her banished. Hela, played by Cate Blanchett, she is the goddess of death.
Yeah, that is a scary one.
They didn't know that there was a sister. Thor did not know he had an older sister, much less the goddess of death. And she shows up, and she basically wants to restore Asgard to its former glory.
Yeah.
She kind of wants to make Asgard great again.
But it's in the way most people wouldn't feel.
Right. Yeah. She wants to bring death and destruction to everyone. And the problem with this is that the power of Asgard in itself makes her basically invincible.
Yeah.
And so what Thor and Loki are trying to protect is what is empowering her. This is a problem.
Yeah.
She also, you see in the trailers, an iconic moment of her just crushing his hammer with one hand. She's got some powers. Thor doesn't have his hammer. He's a little bummed about this.
I'm going to tell you something about this trailer.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss it. Because once a movie is out, you don't see the trailers anymore.
It's a fun
I loved
trailer.
it every single time this came out.
It's a great trailer, great music, and that's one of the things about this movie is fun is a key word. Taika his two previous films to this, Hunt for the Wilder People, What We Do in the Shadows, two of my favorite comedies of the last 15, 20 years, and he brings that same bit of fun. My question was, can he direct action? I know he can direct comedy. Can he do action? That was what we were going to find out with this. And so this was fun, and he used some fun music. And finally, we get the Led Zeppelin song in here for Thor, and it's a lot of craziness. Now you also bring in a ton of cameos. Doctor Strange shows up. He's just kind of showcasing his powers because last time we saw Doctor Strange, he and Thor had a moment, and we kind of pick up that moment in this movie. Just kind of reminding you that, remember, there's this guy in the universe too.
Yeah.
And he and Thor are kind of like two of the magical ends of this Marvel universe. You also, Thor is eventually banished to a different world where it's basically a garbage planet.
Yeah.
That Jeff Goldblum is running as the Grandmaster.
Yeah, he is pretty much the god of this world.
And he is, first off, I love this movie for nothing else than Jeff Goldblum being in this because he is so perfectly awkward. I just love it. And he's like he owns this, he runs this world. He sets up these gladiator tournaments. He has his champion, we find out, is the Hulk. But he brings in other gladiators to fight. He also kind of fancies himself a DJ.
Yep.
He's insane.
And that actually kind of follows the comic books. They do have a comic book series where it's just you know, he took 2 champions, and here you go. It's fun. Every single issue is just a standalone.
Things like the introduction to his character, where you have the Willy Wonka Pure Imagination theme playing in the background as you're introducing this guy. Like, that is inspired to use that song to introduce him. And so basically the movie then is, Thor and Hulk, Valkyrie that he meets up, Loki, everyone trying to fight Hela and trying to save Asgard.
But it's futile. Like when in the trailers you see it, she grabs a hold of the hammer and just
like
obliterates
a styrofoam cup.
And everybody up to this point, all his power seems to be wrapped up in the fact that he has this hammer. So most of the movie, you get to pleasantly watch Thor just get beat up by everybody. Stan Lee even gets a kick.
Yeah.
He gets to screw him up just a little bit.
He gets tased so many times.
Oh, yeah.
You just feel bad for him. Poor Thor.
Actually, I don't. I don't at all. I really didn't like the first movie that much. The second one I thought picked up steam. I liked it a little better.
Still, these have been the weaker films in the cinematic universe.
But this one, I think, is a first full-fledged comedy. They've always had little comedic bits, the one-liners and stuff. This one's straight-up comedy all the way through. You don't see Thor as the hero that much, as more as the victim, which I think is an interesting change
I think it was smart to play off of Thor's comedic and Chris Hemsworth's comedic ability.
Yeah.
And how, as this big, muscle-bound guy, and in the first movie, one of the problems is he is really stiff. I mean, Chris Hemsworth was very young in this role and just in acting, and it felt like he's like, I've got to be big and strong in Thor.
Yeah.
And he had no charisma coming out of him. And you saw little bits of it throughout the Avengers movies, like how he and Banner and he and Hulk, would play off of each other in little jokes. He's got a little bit of something to him.
I think it also comes with a time of acting, and he's been in comedic roles outside of the Avenger universe, and he is funny. I loved him in Ghostbusters. It's too bad enough people did not go see it, but he was a fantastic character. I laughed all the time. He is my second favorite character in the Ghostbusters movie. Yes.
And I just liked coming back into this world where I like the dynamic between Thor and Loki.
Yep.
And just how they play off of each other, and there's the mistrust, and I mean, the character of Loki. Still, there's little things in here that I don't want to talk about that he does. It's just like, he's a central figure in this universe that I never thought would be that when this all started years ago.
Yeah.
I did not think that Loki would still be carrying the key to a lot of things in this universe. And I love the dynamic between Thor and Hulk and Thor and Banner. And just the way they played together and the comedy between he and Hulk. You see a Hulk that talks a little bit more in this movie because he's been stuck in this Hulk role for 2 years now.
A couple years, yeah. I was hoping that they were going to go into the Hulk planet type thing, but of course that.
But there's rumors now that they're doing a Hulk movie, and that will more than likely be a Planet Hulk
that would be awesome.
movie. I mean, that's what everyone's been wanting is Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett in this movie.
Yeah.
As a villain. I mean, Kate Blanchett is not who I would normally expect to see in a comic book movie. She's a real actress. What do you think of her as Hela?
I think she did fine as Hela, but I wanted more out of Hela, and that's the one flaw that the Marvel movies, I think, have, is they really don't shine their villains that much. And Hela is a fantastic character, really deep, and we got some backstory, but we really don't feel anything for the character because we're concentrating more on the comedy.
That's been my big issue with Marvel is too often the villains don't rise to the level of the heroes.
Yeah.
And for me, I've said this ad nauseum, I like a strong villain to make a strong hero.
Yeah.
You can tell me that guy's a great hero. If I don't see him overcome something great, you're just telling me something. And I thought Kate Blanchett was really good. I agree with you. I wish she would have gotten a little more, but she brought some like a gravitas to the situation where there's a one moment where she almost kind of sadly, melancholy in her eyes as she looks out on Asgard and is like, I thought you'd be happy to see me. like, why are you guys all picking up weapons? I thought you'd be happy to see me. And I'm like, that's great. That's just in her eyes. Like, that's a great actress.
Yeah.
In a comic book movie with this crazy headdress on.
Well, that's one thing Marvel, I think, is excelling at, is they are getting top-notch actors actually wanting to be in these roles.
Yes.
They don't have to go out and beg.
In cameos, in this movie, we have some cameos.
Oh, yeah.
From top actors that are just playing other actors, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. I'll just come in and just be a fake Thor.
Can
I do that?
Matt Damon.
Yeah. Matt Damon comes in as
crazy.
As just an actor.
Yeah.
Sam Neill. I mean, and that's one of the things I like too, because I'm a huge nerd for Taika Waititi's films, and so there's several characters that show up that are in his other films, and I'm like, oh, there he is, like Jeff Goldblum's Sergeant at Arms, his right-hand lady.
Yeah.
Right. She was the Child Protective Services lady in Hunt for the Wilder People. Not a fun lady to mess with. And in this movie, she's kind of the same thing.
Yep.
She's kind of a nasty lady. Sam Neill, who was in Hunt for the Wilder People, shows up playing Odin in the play.
You're right, yep.
I mean, little things like, hey, Taika himself did the voice of the rock monster guy.
When it came down to it, I was kind of hoping for more of the same kind of humor as what he did in Hunt for Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows. I didn't quite get that as much in this movie, but it's still a very seriously funny movie.
It is funny. It was edges on corny at points for me.
Purposely.
Yeah, I mean, it edges there. One of the things that I was kind of let down for me was Anthony Hopkins. I felt like I could see him reading the cue cards. It felt like he was phoning in a role to me.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed in that because he had a pivotal moment in this movie. And it felt like he was just kind of going through the motions to me. I don't know. One of the things that I really enjoyed, the score, the music to this movie, I like those a lot. And I like that this year, between Taika, Patty Jenkins, we're finding these new up-and-coming directors who are taking on these franchises with Wonder Woman and with Thor and proving, we got ideas.
Yeah.
There's some great things out there, and I'm excited for these up-and-coming filmmakers. You don't have to keep hiring the Zack Snyders of the world to do movies.
Exactly.
Just people with exciting new takes on these characters.
I think like independent film and stuff like that, it's getting more of a rise. Of course, it's not going to get played in every theater, but it's becoming more obvious that they're out there than it was like 10 years ago or definitely 20 years ago. So you're getting a pool of talent that is rising amongst the people who are in the know.
Yeah.
A lot quicker, and that's great. I really appreciate stuff like that.
I mean, if nothing else, this movie is fun.
Yeah.
You know, my only letdown was I wanted to see some. I can't go into it. Never mind. I know that would be a spoiler.
The only letdown I had for myself is I'm starting to. It is the Marvel formula. Every time you meet someone, you don't shake hands. You beat them up first.
Yeah.
And this is a really funny movie, and I see them going to the comedy, but I wanted to see more of what that director excels in and less of the Marvel formula. I would really like to see Marvel do fantastic films that are a little bit more different, more varied, instead of seeing every film and going, oh, this is exactly like the last Marvel films, but they're tweaking it more for the humor or more for the horror, but not to the point where I feel like they're individual movies as much as I want them to be. That being said, this is a really good movie. I like this movie a lot. I wanted something different.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. So ultimately, what did you end up giving Thor Ragnarok?
I gave it a 3.5. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it, and if I haven't seen, 30 hours of Marvel movies before this, I would probably have gave this a lot larger score. But
I was thinking about if this movie had come out 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I'd be like, whoa!
Exactly.
Look at this. And still, I really enjoyed it. And I was actually surprised. I saw this twice. I took each of my sons to it at different times. In the second watching, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more. I don't know. I was picking up things, and there's a lot going on. And the second time, I was worried that the jokes wouldn't hold up. You hear certain jokes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the devil's anus joke I can do without the 9th time, but it actually was on rewatch. It was actually it was better, I thought.
I find that with most of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
When I watch it a second time, they have so many Easter eggs and
Right, and
little
that's the
things
thing, yeah.
in it, and you pick
and
it
you start
up.
going, well, that's going to pay off later. You know?
Yep. You can appreciate it more on your second time around because you're not absorbing just the story. You're getting the nuances that are throughout the whole.
Absolutely. So we say, if you haven't yet, go watch Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah,
Did I tell you what I
definitely.
gave it? I gave it 4. Anyways, I remember I actually said what my score was. There it is. Thank you, sir. All right, what do you have for us on the marquee?
I
sir?
have the second big movie of the week. It is Bad Moms Christmas. The Bad Moms are back, and they have a different set of problems. Their first movie, of course, they solved their problems. This one, their second problem is Christmas in general is the main story. It's too stressful for moms, so they're going to do without Christmas the traditional way and just start doing it how the bad moms want to do it. Second big
I like that they're a club called the Bad Moms.
The second part of the movie is who's going to be kind of your nemesis in this, and the nemesis is their mom.
Oh, double the moms.
Their moms are also bad moms, so they are dealing with how they deal with their moms, and each mom is a little bit different. Mila Kunis, she plays Amy. Her mom is very strict. She is kind of a hoity-toity. Things need to be done a certain way, very bossy, very mean. You have Catherine Bell plays Kiki.
No, Kristen Bell.
Oh, Kristen Bell plays Kiki.
Sorry.
She is...
She's the homeschool mom.
Yeah, she's a homeschool mom, and she's hoity-toity, and her mom wants to be just like her.
Her mom is obsessed with her.
In a very creepy way.
Do you like everything I'm wearing that has your face on it?
Up to the point where she has to go to a shrink, and of course, Catherine Hahn plays Carla. Her mom is kind of exactly like her, and really the conflict is like, okay, so you were a neglectful, terrible mom. You need to change, while at the same time, she's a terrible, neglectful mom.
I'm embracing that I'm a terrible, neglectful mom.
Yeah, which I thought was a absurd story. But what did you think of this movie?
Yeah, so the first Bad Moms movie was one of my favorite comedies of the last year. I really enjoyed the first Bad Moms movie. I was actually looking forward to this movie. I know people dump on these movies. I think it's a lot of fun. And I will watch anything that Catherine Hahn is in because I think she's hilarious. And so I was actually really excited for this. My problem is, 3 of the moms,
Yeah.
2 of them, I can't stand the actresses. Christine Baranski, who plays Mila Kunis' mom, is like, she is poison to me when I see her in a movie.
Really?
I just cannot stand her. Never
She's
have.
like the same character every single time.
Yeah, she's just, I don't like her, and just everything about her. Cheryl Hines, who plays Kiki's mom. Cheryl Hines was a star on Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of my favorite shows. She was always the thing that just drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I like Susan Sarandon as Catherine Hahn's mom. So right away, as soon as they come on screen, I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to have to deal with these 2. The movie itself, to me, felt frantic. It felt like there was nothing, like they didn't know what they were doing. It felt like the movie itself was just rushed.
Yeah.
And that none of it had any kind of gravity to any of the situations. You're basically, I mean, what they're saying is that, you know, that you're a slacker mom if you don't make your kids like your entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't subscribe to that. I love my kids. I make kids but if you're a terrible mom, if you don't make every detail, if you don't stress and sweat over every tiny detail of making life perfect, that's not what this is. That's not, and you know, the other thing is I like Kristen Bell a lot. I like that character of Kiki. I thought she was a lot of fun. And she felt like she was kind of pushed to the background in this movie, to me. It felt like it was definitely the Mila Kunis movie. And it felt like they didn't have a lot of interplay between the characters. Like each of them had their story, and they didn't really overlap a whole ton until the end. We got to bring everyone together. But it was like I missed that dynamic of everyone together.
Hey, you see them every once in a while when they're doing like terrible things.
Right.
And that's about
But
it.
that's the
Yeah,
thing I
you're right.
liked in the first one was as they're fighting against like Christina Applegate and the snooty moms at the school, is that they bond and the 3 of them are out doing everything. And I like that because I like the dynamic of all 3 different personalities. And this one, it was just like, oh, my mom's a real drag.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. They showed Christina Applegate in this movie for a minute. I wanted more of her because she was a fun character with them and had a nice resolution at the first one.
I'm actually, I don't think I liked the first one that much. I think I gave it like a 2.5.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good gags and stuff in this one. This one I liked even less. What I said about the last one was if the roles reversed, this thing wouldn't fly. You know, if there's sexual roles. This one was just straight up misandrous to me. Every single male character was either sexually harassed, racially harassed. They were mealy little characters in the background.
Yeah.
If the roles were reversed, we would say this is the most misogynistic movie ever made. But it goes the other way around, and we're supposed to celebrate it. I don't feel like Tit for Tat should be celebrated.
Well, I think we're getting the same movie next week.
Okay.
Daddy's Home 2.
Yeah.
Looks like basically the same movie.
Yeah.
Oh, now the dads are coming home.
Well, in the first Dad's movie, you didn't have weak women characters. They were there, but they weren't weak. They weren't like, oh yeah, go ahead, sexually harass me, ha ha ha, or oh, if you're gonna say some racist stuff, that's okay. I'll smile,
It's okay.
and maybe my husband will protect me, or something like that. And that's what this was in the movie. There was even a part where one of the I consider a victim because he was just bullied constantly by one of the characters, and he does something. He has this long speech about how it's okay for your victimizers to treat you like this if you get to know them. If that was role reversed, that would make everybody cringe.
Right.
And in this movie, it's celebrated. Like it's okay to sexually harass people like that.
I just,
or
you
something
know,
like that.
I was really disappointed by this because, like I said, I was actually anticipating this movie, and at best, I think it's a mediocre sequel. There's some laughs in here, like I say. Catherine Hahn gets me every time.
Well, these directors, John Lucas, Scott Moore, they made Hangover.
Yeah.
It was a runaway success, and then he
right in that
sequeled that
wheelhouse.
one twice, and each one was horrible. And I think they found a moneymaker. They cranked it out as quickly as possible.
Just like you do with the Neighbors movies or any of these. They all feel like they're in that same universe.
Bad Moms came out last year, right?
Last year.
Yeah,
They
so
rushed this thing out. And that's why I say it feels frantic. It feels like they didn't have all the connective tissue together. And so we're just going to go from this to that.
And the majority of the jokes, which I felt was the same as last one, is the punchline and the lead up is the F word or the P word. And that's it. And I'm okay with that, but when it's every character doing it all through the whole movie, it gets dry. It gets bad.
Yeah. Ultimately, what did you end up giving?
I gave it a 1.5.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Mike says no go.
I said no.
I've been dogging on it, but there are laughs in this movie for me.
Yeah.
And I like the characters, even if I don't like what they did with the characters for the most part. I think it's a mediocre movie. I gave it 2.5 out of 5.
My
not great.
My 1.5 did come from, there are some good gag scenes in here that were funny.
Catherine Hahn gets 2 of those stars out of me. 0.5 comes
You
from the
really
rest.
like her.
She's hilarious. Anyways, let's take a look back, though, sir. We have a film on our throwback machine this week.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to 1987. That was 30 years ago.
And we did
That's
pick a
quick,
good
man.
one.
We did. Well done on this one. We have a film that is based on a toy and an animation franchise that was huge in the 80s. We're talking about Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie.
How could it go wrong?
Thrown off of Thor. Yeah, how could it go wrong? Oh man, I love some He-Man too. Oh man, and Masters of the Universe came out, and it did not recapture what you would see on your cartoons.
No.
Dolph Lundgren, who at this time barely spoke English and didn't know how to act, cast as He-Man. There's no Prince Adam in this movie.
No.
Because we are not on Eternia.
No, they bought the rights to the name, but this is really nothing but names alone.
That's kind of all it is.
Yeah.
So you have Frank Langella, an amazing actor, as Skeletor, and I really like him as Skeletor, even if the mask is a little hokey at times.
Oh yeah.
The movie itself is kind of all set on Earth. It's like He-Man comes to Detroit, basically.
Yeah.
And fights a bunch of people in Halloween costumes. The movie itself was plagued by being, over schedule, over budget, and so a lot of things had to get cut. This was if you've ever heard of Canon Films, who did, the bad Superman movie, the fourth Superman movie, and all of the just hokey
Every
Death
bad
Wish
movie,
movies.
yeah.
All the bad movies of the 80s.
Not the first Death Wish.
No, all the sequels. they ran out of money. They got this property, they got in over their heads. They tried to make it. They ran out of money. So like the final scene between He-Man and Skeletor, they kind of had to just kind of do their best because we don't have any money to do anything. So just, I guess, change it and make it work. We got $100. Make it work.
Well,
and you see it on screen.
And you could see all the things that they spent money on that they were like, well, maybe you shouldn't have just put
He-Man's
that
shooting
in there
a laser
at all.
gun.
Exactly.
What?
Don't put in that prop.
Barely
please.
uses the sword.
and extra characters that weren't in the franchise at all. I miss things like Orko or Battle Cat, stuff like that. Major characters.
Yeah, we never hear by the power of Grayskull.
No.
That's his catchphrase.
That's
his
catchphrase. Well, that's also what changes him from Prince Adam to
this is true, I guess.
And there is no Prince Adam. So.
This movie, there's a lot of great talk about this. There's a documentary out there that came out last year called Electric Boogaloo, the wild untold story of Cannon Films, that talks all about the two brothers who ran Cannon Films, how they did this. And they get towards the end is when they get to Masters Universe. And it's pretty funny talking about how, like, we didn't have any money. So we just went and got this Halloween mask. And, we just kind of made it up as we went.
But you know what? I still recommend people watch this.
Oh,
I really do.
Here's the thing. When this movie came out in the 80s, it was a massive disappointment to me, to a ton of people who were expecting He-Man on screen. This movie did not deliver on that at all.
No.
But, I mean, it's boring, it's weird, it's dark. You can't see a lot of things in the movie. But this movie is a guilty pleasure for me all the way. Like, this movie was billed as Star Wars for the 80s when they put it out. Not that.
Ooh.
But I still have fun watching it in all of its horribleness.
I watch it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so bad that I'll probably end up watching it again.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's pretty great in its terribleness. We have a new He-Man movie that's going to be coming out, I think, next year or 2019.
Live action?
Yes. It's a whole reboot. December of 2019.
Is it a reboot of the cartoon
Dolph Lundgren has volunteered. Like, I will come in. And they're like, thanks, Dolph. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
he would volunteer for underarm deodorant commercial.
We recommend watching Masters of the Universe, even though it's not good. Let's take a quick look ahead at what's going to be coming out the weekend of November 17th. Michael, we have 4 movies on the marquee that week. The first one is The Star. It is the animated Christmas movie about the manger, all the animals in the manger, and how things went there.
Quite seasonal.
It is.
It's the first Christmas movie I usually hate of the year, and I always think it's a little too early. I think last year we had an October.
It could have been.
But, it's
time.
closer to the seasons, you could start doing something.
All right, very good. Mike approves. The second movie, Wonder, about a young boy, based on a great novel, but a young boy who doesn't look like everyone else, and how he deals with that. And surprisingly, everyone in my family has read this book, and all of them are like, I want to see the movie. Oh, okay. Cool. Looks interesting. Of course, then
we take them all individually?
Yes, one by one.
Nice.
The big one that everyone's waiting for, the next superhero movie, because, it's only been a week since superhero movies. Justice League is coming out, the much maligned Justice League.
I usually would be like, but Wonder Woman made me...
I'm still very meh on this.
Really?
Yeah.
I think after Wonder Woman, I'm just like, you know what? Now I want to see more.
Yeah, we'll see. And then the last one is in a little smaller release, but is the new film starring Denzel Washington, Roman J. Israel Esquire. This movie looks really interesting to me.
That looks great.
And it's from the director who brought us Nightcrawler, my favorite movie of the year a couple years ago.
Yep.
I'm really intrigued by this movie. I can't wait for it.
It looks good. I'll travel for this one, I think.
Good. So that's what it's going to be on the marquee the weekend of November 17th. Before we leave you, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We do appreciate it. We encourage you to go check out your films at the Palace here in Sun Prairie. If you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, Real Reviews TV, at Real Reviews TV. If you want to go and find a whole host of previous episodes, Mike, we're in like the 185, 186 range. It's a lot of episodes.
There is tons of stuff out there.
You can go to sunprairiemediacenter.com. There's a on-demand feature there that has all of them. You can watch everything change. Beards grow, backgrounds change.
Yeah.
Mike, you still look the same. Haven't aged a day. That's good. It's a good thing.
That means I looked like this back then, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Backhanded compliment all the way.
I was never good.
Next week, we're going to be talking about Daddy's Home 2 and Murder on the Orient Express.
I've been looking forward to this for a while.
I have as well. Looking forward to that. But until that time, my name's Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.